Okay, good day, guys. Welcome to Philosophy Online Lecture. We are still on critical thinking, and we'll be talking on fallacy. The two broad division of fallacy, too, concentrating on the informal fallacies and every aspect under it. Now, a fallacy is that type of argument that seem to be correct, but which on a second look turns out not to be correct. That is, there are statements in which are used to persuade people to accept a position, although those statements are untrue. But to such person who is receiving the idea, it appears to be true. Now, fallacy has to do with arguments that goes against the rules of logic. There are two broad divisions of fallacy. There are the formal fallacy and the informal fallacies. Now, the formal fallacy has to do with the violation of certain rules of valid inference. That is, violation of certain rules of the laws of thought. And informal fallacies, on the other hand, has to do with errors in reasoning as a result of maybe we were careless while we had that thing first, or we were not paying attention. It means we do not apply reason to statements that we had, but just accept it based on due to inattention or carelessness. Now, under informal fallacy, we have the fallacy of relevance, fallacy of ambiguity, and those two are the major ones we are going to be concentrating on. There's also the fallacy of weak induction, there's the fallacy of presumption, and the fallacies of grammatical analogy. Okay, so we move quickly to the fallacy of relevance. But before that, let's take the definition of fallacy by Ivan Copy. Ivan Copy said a fallacy is a type of argument that may seem to be correct, but which prove upon examination not to be so. So you can note that in case you might need it. Now, uh, informal fallacies, I we said it arise due to uh, incorrect reasoning, or not paying attention, or carelessness, or you trying to persuade someone to accept your position. Now, in the informal fallacy, we have the fallacies of relevance, and the fallacies of relevance are those fallacy that their premise are not logically connected to the conclusion. That is, the premise are irrelevant to the conclusion. Now, under these examples of this is the fallacy of appealing to force. That is argumentum ad baculum. The Latin name is argumentum ad baculum. And the fallacy of appealing to force are those arguments or propositions that uh, threats or force are being used in order to persuade the second arguer or the listener to accept one's position. Now, an example of this is saying you are not going to get this job if you do not sleep with me at the hotel. Now, you are threatening someone not to get a job because that person uh, won't have something to do with you at a hotel. Now, the basis for getting a job is not for someone to come and sleep with you at the hotel. So, such a conclusion of not getting the job does not apply to a logical reason, or so that is why we say the premise is irrelevant to the conclusion. Now, the second one is fallacy of appealing to pity. The Latin name for this is argumentum ad misericordiam. Now, this is the fallacy of that arises statements where one do not appeal to reason but pity. That is, you do not look at the statement and accept it based on reason that it is factual, but due to pity. Now, let's use that same interview as an example. Now, when two people come for an interview and they both have same grade, then a suggestion was made that one of them should be selected because that person is really in need of the job, is a financial chaos, and that job can save his or her life. Now, you are not choosing based on merit now. It is not based on reason now, on a reasonable aspect, but based on pity. So that is fallacy of appealing to pity. Now, the next one is fallacy of appealing to authority, and the Latin name for this is argumentum ad veracundiam. Now, this fallacy is when you cite an authority in a statement, uh, trying to persuade people to believe it, not based on the reason that the statement is true, but due to the fact that it is an authority. You are using an authority to make your claim. Now, an example is saying that my pastor said that abortion is wrong, therefore abortion is wrong. Now, you are not basing the fact that abortion is wrong on reason, but based on the fact that your pastor said it. So that is, you are citing an authority for your claim. Now, it also this also applies to our some of our religious views and others too, or in school also. You might say Mrs. Ojomo said it is good to be uh, caring. Now, you are not basing the aspect of if it's good to be caring, but rather because Mr. Jomo said so. Now, the next one is fallacy of appealing to ignorance, and the Latin name for this is argumentum ad ignorantiam. Now, this fallacy is committed when you accept a claim or you make a claim based on the fact that it has not been proven to be wrong or true. Now, you are accepting this claim to be true because it has not been proven to be false, or you accept this claim to be false because it has not been proven to be true. Now, this is the fallacy of appealing to ignorance. And an example is the claim about the existence of God. You might say that God does not exist because it has not been proven that he exists. Now, you might also say that the exam as we hold on the 25th of this month because it has not been stated that it won't hold on that day. So you are accepting that position because it's either it has not been proved to be wrong or it's either it has not been proved to be good. Now, the next one is the fallacy of irrelevant conclusion. Now, the Latin name for this is ignoratio elenchi. Now, this fallacy is when your uh, premise are irrelevant to the conclusion. That is, the premise that you make are not following with the conclusion that comes from that premise. Now, an example is saying the dog won't bite because the dog is cute. Now, the fact that the dog is cute does not correlate with any point that the dog does not bite. So the premise is irrelevant to the conclusion. Now, we also have the black and white fallacy, and this fallacy is when an argument has only two alternatives. That is, it is either true or it is false. Now, it is a statement like if you are not for us, then you are against us. So it is either one of the two. So that is that on fallacies of relevance under informal fallacy. So for the next one, we are going to talk about fallacy of ambiguity. Thank you. Oh, sorry, there is one last one. That is the argument against the person, argumentum ad hominem. And this is when you go beyond the claims in an argument to attacking the person of the second arguer, or and then this is subdivided into two. Now, the first one is abusive, and the second part is circumstantial. Now, abusive is, for example, you say Mrs. Ojuwole won't support the bill for environmental because she is dirty. Now, you are attacking the person of that Mrs. Ojuwole and not the claim. You have gone beyond the claim. Now, when it comes to circumstantial, you are saying because of the position such person hold, that person is expected to accept that view. An example of this is saying that Reverend John should accept my position on abortion because his position as a pastor in the leading church also goes against abortion. Now that is argumentum ad hominem. So those are the major parts of the informal fallacy of relevance.